The most exciting spring practice, arguably, is taking place in Baton Rouge. Got started about a week ago, and it's a brand new era for LSU football. And I want you to understand what we're dealing with here, right? Because Lane Kiffin taking over at LSU, like it's been the talk of college football for a while. And everything coming out of that program in the first few days has been energy. It sounds like there's been a ton of pace that arrived with a system offensively that's very different from anything that Baton Rouge has seen in quite some time. And day one, according to people that watched closely, LSU is running 4 or 5 plays in under a minute at points in time. That's pretty amazing. Both the first and second teams are running simultaneously on 2 fields. I mean, that's not just a new offense. That's a completely new operating tempo. And that's Lane Kiffin kind of telling his players, we're going to practice at the speed we intend to play with. And if you can't keep up with practice, then you certainly can't keep up with the game. So it's a bit of a program reset. And this is what it looks like when a genuinely elite offensive mind arrives at a super talent-rich program. Now, the quarterback situation, it's Sam Leavitt, right? Who has been participating in some passing drills. No protective gear or anything like that. One receiver that caught a pass in 2025. That was Phillip Wright. 1 catch. This is a complete room overhaul from scratch. Just a total reconstruction. And Lane Kiffin is essentially building the LSU passing game with almost entirely new personnel. And it sounds like right now, Kansas State transfer Jace Brown is entering in as maybe the favorite to become the go-to guy at wide receiver. There's also another name getting some real early buzz. That's Trey Brown, who transferred in from Old Dominion and has been described by many as a kind of an aerial assassin, kind of a guy that stands out above the rest. That's a really nice description for guys transferring down from Old Dominion. So you don't hear people just throwing around an aerial assassin when describing an average player. So you look at a couple practices in. Look, a lot of things still to be ironed out. But there's already some freshmen making some noise. You got a guy in Richard Anderson that appears to be working with the first team along the defensive line. That raised some serious eyebrows. To see a true freshman out there at defensive tackle over second and third year players, either kind of thin at that position, or maybe this kid's got a chance to be really, really good. Maybe both. The star position, which a little bit of a hybrid role, very important in defensive coordinator Blake Baker's defense, very hands-on in experimenting with different players. Tells me they haven't really figured out who's going to play there just yet, but right now is the time to figure that out. So not to sound an alarm, but watch for the star hybrid linebacker, safety, corner. Watch that role to try to find some resolution, at least narrow that thing down by the time they get around to the summer to see what that competition might look like. And hey, you can have whatever opinion you want about Lane Kiffin and Lane Kiffin, the Twitter presence, Lane Kiffin, the personality. But here's what he's been saying. He's talked about kind of having a moment before practice started, remind himself of how grateful he is to be here and acknowledging the responsibility that he has to LSU and to the people of Louisiana and to the great players that have played there. That's not just a soundbite. That's not media management, right? This is a man that I think actually understands the weight of what he's been handed. Right? LSU football is not just a job. It's an institution, right? Especially in the state of Louisiana. And Kiffin, regardless of what you think he is or his reputation elsewhere, he's clearly locked in on the gravity of being the head coach for the LSU Tigers. So they're going to be must watch this year. We know that for sure. So you can go ahead and bank on that, but they definitely have a few things that need to be ironed out as they progress throughout the spring.